Even though the new Galaxy Watch 7 is easily the best smartwatch of 2024, there are some things that you actually need to know, especially if you are brand new to the Galaxy Watch world and haven't had any Galaxy Watches in the past. Also, I will try to share with you some things that I found after using this watch for roughly a week. By the way, my plan really isn't to roast this watch, as I literally think this is an excellent product and it's highly improved over the past Galaxy Watch 6 and 5. Overall, 98% of stuff and features on this watch are absolutely great. I will simply try to share with you the remaining 2% that could be improved actually. First, the charging experience really on this watch is actually worse than on the Galaxy Watch 6, 5 and even 4 due to the new sensors that they had to put in this watch. So with these sensors that basically didn't have enough space to properly align that wireless charging coils at the back of the watch, so they had to basically, I think, place them a bit further. This creates some problems really. First, you can't really charge this watch anymore with reverse wireless charging on your compatible phone basically. So if you had phones that supported that, you can't do that on this watch. Also, I think it doesn't properly work with most wireless chargers as well. And also, while actually trying to charge this watch during this week, while I had it with this charger, I also experienced some glitches and problems from time to time. So really there is something going on with that. And sometimes when I actually put it on the charger and it's plugged in, it actually sometimes doesn't even literally starts to charge. So you have to basically wiggle it around a bit so to get it to start charging. Also, while it's charging and maybe you move it around a bit, it will disconnect from time to time. So this is what I found. Overall, while this is an issue on this Galaxy Watch 7, but I'm actually glad that they put in these new sensors, as the sensors really on the past Galaxy Watches were really no good. So I'm willing to trade better sensors for a bit worse charging and now basically reverse charging as well. So personally, I'm okay with this trade-off, but maybe you need to know about this. Then also, I do not think this rotating bezel is actually the best. Well, I think the bezel itself is okay and it does its function, but there is a problem. Maybe they can fix it with some update, but basically if I have this touch bezel enabled, the watch sometimes literally just clicks somewhere itself, and it's actually kind of problematic to use things as something simply pop up as if you have this enabled. So really, personally, I have disabled this touch bezel as I wasn't really using it anyway. You can go to your general settings and click this and disable this. I wasn't really using the touch bezel on the previous Galaxy Watch as well, so it's no problem for me anyway. But yeah, if you have it enabled, the touchscreen really acts up sometimes. Then also this watch does get quite a lot of new gestures, and they're actually quite amazing. So you got the knock knock function, shake to dismiss and double pinch. However, there is a problem. These gestures actually do not work for some reason when the screen is off and you are basically not using this watch. So if you simply want to launch an app, you have to turn on the screen first and then do that maybe knock knock feature. For example, if I want to launch the flashlight, I literally can't just knock knock and do that while the watch isn't actually active. I have to first basically click the button or touch the screen or wake it up and then do the knock knock function. I'm fairly sure I know why it's actually like that, but I think they needed to actually give us an option to enable this so we can actually use these gestures when the screen actually isn't active as well. Also, one more thing that lacks on these gestures for this double press function. By the way, this double press on the button isn't a new function really, and it is available on all watches. But really, they haven't included flashlight, so you can't really launch flashlight by simply double clicking this button. On the past Galaxy Watches, there was a third-party app which you could download and program to launch that app with that button, but that app on the Galaxy Watch 7 is wonky and doesn't work properly. I know 99% of the people do not care about the flashlight on this, but that was something that I actually personally use it all the time, and really they need to put on this function so you can actually launch the flashlight also by double clicking this. If you already have a previous Galaxy Watch, then you already know that some of the functions actually won't work on non-Samsung Android phones. For example, for blood pressure, ECG, and also for the new sleep apnea, you actually need a Samsung phone for these functions to work. Also, the AI functions again will only work on certain Samsung phones. So if you don't have a Samsung phone, you are really missing quite a lot of features that they advertise. And really, I think this needs to be absolutely changed, because really there aren't really hardware limitations as to why they don't allow the rest of the people to use these functions. Then also about the blood pressure. If you are purchasing this watch to measure your blood pressure, I wouldn't purchase this watch for this purpose, because I literally think it's a gimmick. So again, you actually need to calibrate this feature like every few days with an actual blood pressure like machine. So really, what's the point? Maybe I guess it's okay if you want to measure your blood pressure on the go somewhere, so you don't have to take your machine with you, but you need to know that you will need to calibrate this device every few days really. But yeah, I understand why it might be so. And when I actually had the Samsung phone, I actually tried this feature. I do not think that it provided actually the best results, and some of them were actually off. So again, I wouldn't purchase this watch for this function personally. Also, when it comes to the blood oxygen measurement, I would suggest you to actually measure this 3 or 4 times in a row basically, and get the average instead of measuring it only once and taking that value, as I actually find this value fluctuates quite a lot just from like each measurement basically. So again, I would take literally like 3 or 4 different readings and get the average really. Another limitation I found with this SPO2 basically is I couldn't find a way how to actually enable it so it measures this value constantly while you're wearing this watch. I know it consumes quite a lot of battery, but I think actually when you use this watch in a sleep mode, it can do that. However, irregularly, it won't record that, I think. Then another feature which I actually think is missing, but maybe most people won't care about this. When you actually go to check your step count, so you can obviously see how many steps you have taken for the day. And by the way, Stepcounter works excellent on this watch, and it's literally one of the best watches for step count tracker. It's actually better than Apple and Garmin, which are often again more expensive watches. This is way better actually. However, as you can see, you can still see your steps by the time of the day for today, but you really can't see your step count history for the past days. So for example, when the day finishes and basically I want to check how many steps, for example, I did yesterday, I really can't do that anywhere on the watch, and I really have to open up my phone to check the step count basically. And yeah, I really wish there was somewhere to see your step count history for the past days really. Otherwise, you have to basically pull up your phone and open the app to see the steps for the yesterday. And that's pretty much the only thing that I really do on the phone, check the steps for my past days. If I could do that on the watch itself, that would be so much better. Then, however, there is some serious issue with the step count reporting on your phone app actually, which Samsung doesn't really want to admit, and they say it's working perfectly, but it's not working perfectly. A lot of people are complaining about this stuff. Basically, your phone can actually also track your steps. So if you obviously have Samsung Galaxy Watch, you already know that your phone also tracks that Samsung Health app on your phone tracks the steps as well. But the problem really is it actually double counts some of the steps sometimes. So really, if I'm wearing this watch 24/7, it should track all the steps and there shouldn't be any double counting whatsoever. However, you can test this yourself. Simply place your phone in airplane mode so it can't connect to this watch, and the data will get delayed basically. Then check how many steps you have actually taken and take your phone out of airplane mode. If you have actually moved around with that phone, it will also count those steps. However, once you take out of the airplane mode, these steps on the watch will actually increase greatly. So how come that's even possible really, since you were wearing this watch at all time? So really, it's double counting. And when you actually check the Samsung Health app, it even literally says that it doesn't double count. However, I have caught pretty much all these Galaxy watches to do this thing, and they're still not fixing this. So really, you are getting some extra steps added from your phone, even if it says it doesn't do that. It still does that. Then also about the exercise tracking. Basically the exercise tracking I think on this watch is spot on and perfect, but however you might know that this watch can actually provide your VO2 max result as well. However, I would take that with a huge grain of salt. I do not think that value is accurate. I think in the past Samsung even teamed up with some researchers develop this feature more. However, I still don't think you can actually trust that feature, and other watches are actually better when it comes to that VO2 max result. Another thing which you actually need to know about some of these health features on this watch is that you actually need to wear your watch during sleep for actually quite a lot of things to work properly. For example, this watch can also record your HRV. However, again, you need to actually sleep with this watch at night to get that. And obviously there are some other health tracking features that again only work if you actually wear this watch during sleep. Personally, I do not really wear these watches at sleep to track the sleep stuff basically, because I find if you actually start to focus on this stuff more and start to think about it, my sleep actually gets worse in the reality. So there's really nothing to track, I guess, if you want the best sleep. Sleep really is involuntary action, so maybe you can track it sometimes just to see something. And overall, I wouldn't really suggest you to actually track your sleep in the long term, because it will create you this sleep anxiety. You will think before you actually go to the sleep just how good your sleep will be. And also in the morning, the first thing you will actually want to look at is just your sleep score, and you will start overthink about it. And really this can actually potentially even make your sleep worse. So really, again, sleep is involuntary action, and you really just have to go and sleep and stop overthinking about this stuff if you actually want the best sleep. For example, in the past when I actually tried to wear these watches during the sleep, the first thing in the morning really I did was looked at my watch and saw my energy score, instead of maybe sleeping in a bit more and getting some more sleep. So the first thing that was in my mind, just to check my sleep score and how I slept. So overall, actually by tracking my sleep, I actually made my sleep even worse really. So really, maybe if you suspect that you might have the same problem I'm actually describing, then really maybe forget about this feature and forget about the stuff. I think it can actually only ruin your sleep if you start to overthink about it. Anyway, sorry for getting a bit off topic, but basically this energy score and for example this like even AIG's index, it won't work if you actually don't use this watch to sleep. The other functions such as your HRV and that energy score, I can obviously understand why it wouldn't work, but why this AIGs wouldn't work, that's quite surprise for me. So I think this should work even if you don't wear your watch to sleep. And finally, software and updates. If you are maybe a past Galaxy Watch user, I really don't even think I need to tell you about this stuff, because you know what happens with these watches. Basically, if they get any bugs or glitches, it takes pretty much forever to fix anything, if at all basically, and you're basically stuck with that problem, or maybe even like literally a half working watch. For example, at the start of the year, I literally couldn't use my Galaxy Watch, the previous one, for literally 2 months, because for all Google Pixel phones, they simply wasn't working as the app was half bricked. So literally for tens of thousands of Pixel users, really, this watch was completely bricked for literally 2 months, and they took their sweet time to actually bring it back and make it work. Also another epic failure with the Galaxy Watch 7 itself. When they actually started selling this watch, they didn't even provide the software for non-Samsung phones basically. So basically, if you purchased this watch at the launch, well, you basically got a brick that couldn't be used because there was no software for it available. Again, completely ridiculous. They started selling the watch without even really having a software for it. And this really continues with every like Samsung watch, and I would say even with every Samsung product. The software is unreliable, and again, it doesn't get fixed when it's actually needed, and if anything goes wrong, and then simply ignore it. So overall, can I still suggest this watch? Well, of course I can suggest this watch, because it's insanely good watch actually, and it's clear upgrade over the past versions, and really it's extremely well built watch, and really there's again Most of these problems I'm really complaining about are really nitpicking. Anyway, if you are looking for a crazy good watch that can do pretty much everything, this is probably my #1 suggestion. Really, also the build quality on this watch really is insane. And when you look at the price of this watch and the good deals that you can usually get on this, no other watch in that price range actually gets the build quality that this watch has. And pretty much like I don't know any other watch in this price range that gets sapphire glass display that will basically last you forever. Alright, good luck.